Awaken, my child, and embrace the glory that is your birthright. Know that I am the Overmind, the eternal will of the Swarm, and that you have been created to serve me. Serve the Hive. I control the groove. Serve the Hive. I control the groove. Serve the Hive. I control the way you move. How you like my groove, Dagoth? Well done. Skills. Serve the Hive. Feel the groove. I control the way you move. Skills.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Student StarCraft AI Tournament weekly broadcast. This is Nightcat, and I will be your host for today. So today is Independence Day in the United States, which is where I reside. And just as I was about to start this cast, a parade started to go by my apartment. Thankfully, it sounds like the parade was short and has passed by the time we're starting, so I don't think you'll get any background noise of fire trucks blaring or cars honking or music playing, so we should be good in that front. Let me go ahead and I'm also that Radio Free Zerg was not meant to be in the playlist, so I'm gonna have to keep an eye on if that starts to play again in the background. We can skip it because I think the words in a song while I'm casting would be a little bit distracting. So let me turn the background music down just a little bit here. Okay, that does not seem to have affected the volume, so give me just a second. Let's see if this will work. There we go. Bit better. And now let's go ahead and get into the first match of today, which sees us watching Monster spawning as the Yellow Zerg at the top right of Benzene, going up against Banana Brain spawning as the Blue Protoss down in the bottom left. Akona Parade forehead, yep. Alright, sorry, just wanted to adjust the positioning of my microphone there. So let's go ahead and jump up to our usual double speed that we watch these at. So it looks like Monster's going for either, we'll see if it's going pool first or hatchery first. Looks like it is getting the Overlord. And we are seeing the pylon started by Banana Brain up at the natural here and throwing the scout out. So we are seeing a pull first here from Monster. Getting a few more drones as well, and we're going forage first, which is what we're going to want to see with a pull first, but I don't think, yeah, the scout had not got out here just yet. No, I think this, so we did see one drone go out to scout, and now that drone's going to go ahead and throw down the hatchery. I'm kind of curious as to where this Overlord is going to. But we do have the drone scout here. We didn't get our gateway or any cannons just yet. Starting to get our cannons now. Just as the first Zerglings are popping out. And this is a pretty long rush distance on Benzene. So I think this should finish okay. We also didn't go heavy on the Zerglings from Monster, so shouldn't really be a threat of a run-by. Just the one Ling sees the cannon, but can't quite escape in time. Behind this, we are, of course, getting the naturals we saw. We're getting our gas now. So going to go ahead and transition into getting our standard Protoss army, get some zealots maybe. Yep, we're getting a zealot. We're going to go ahead and get our core for the dragoons and so on, and start up the tech tree. Monster behind this, going ahead and getting a lair after its third hatchery had started and just finishes now down at the bottom right, so we're going with a 3 base opener here. Going ahead and getting our second gas as well. Don't see a Hydralisk den at this point anywhere, so I'm guessing we're going to see Mutalisk play for Monster. We are throwing down a Deep Colony here. Okay, we do have... Oh. Okay, the scouting drone. I heard the Zealot fighting, and I'm like, what is he attacking? Because there's no Zergling in there. The Zergling's out here, but it was that initial scout drone finally got chased down. Going up to 2 gateways now. 4 banana... Actually, 3 gateways. Or, no, 4 gateways, I think that was. Where are they all, though? Because there's the one there. There's 2... Oh, there's down here in the bottom. So we're at 5 gateways. Apparently cannot counter C. But pretty much both AIs just letting each other do their thing. No one really trying to harass the other. Looks like, as I say that, Banana Brain is going to go ahead and move out and just sort of see what Monster has been up to. And just catches that Zergling. Okay, I thought it was going to decide to go back home, but I think it caught the Zergling up there at the top left. So now marching across over to the natural, where it's going to find the Sunkens, and really shouldn't try to press into that just yet. Don't have enough to break that. And I don't see any teching up to Reavers or anything, so probably won't be able to break that for a little bit. Mutalisks are out now for Monster, but Banana Brain does have a fair amount of Dragoons, losing, heavily damaging one and losing one to the Sunken line there. The Mutalisks are going to go ahead and pressure this third here that Banana Brain is taking. Not really going to be able to do much, though. I don't think there's a large number of Dragoons. Could abuse the high ground a little bit, perhaps, but gonna go ahead and just kind of back off. And they're kind of, the Mutalisks are doing their job. They're just keeping these Dragoons back home, keeping them from pressuring. Still unaware of this third down at the bottom right, so Monster's looking pretty good here. Does have some Scourge, just in case, I guess, any, and this 4th base looks like it's gonna get denied here. Stardust doesn't want to bring its, Goon army, actually, where? Oh, because the Goons are busy back here, so Monster doing a good job of splitting up its Mutalisks here in order to sort of keep Stardust's army a little bit disjointed here, because there's 1 to 2 that are trying to defend this, while the rest were trying to deal with some Mutalisks here. But now, letting this 4th finish, I feel like Monster maybe could have denied that a little bit better. But now there's enough of a Dragoon army, they're not split up, where he's just gonna have some trouble dealing with this. We are starting to get Hydralisks out now. If we check the upgrades, they do have +1 attack, but they don't have their Carapace upgrade just yet. Getting a few more Scourge too, even though we have not seen any air from Stardust yet. Also getting a few more hatcheries. I don't see any new bases started up yet. We do have the burrowed unit down there. Oh wait, we do have a Corsair. I just heard it, but just have not seen it. And Corsairs are under production now, so the Scourge will hopefully pay off. Trying to go for this top left again, but there are cannons in place now, which are going to go ahead and protect it. And it looks like we're switching over to a more Hydralisk heavy build at the moment. Oh, and just as I say that, we're going ahead and getting 4 Lurkers. Ooh, we got a nice chase down happening here. Will they get away? Running back to the cannons. Oh, one does get caught, and I think another one did get off on the one Corsair there. Mutalisks coming in as well now that there's just 2 Corsairs, it looks like. Getting a few probe snipes, but really, Banana Brain's still up very high on the workers at 68. Not doing a whole lot of damage. We have the Reavers out now. And the Dragoons and cannons there. Oh, getting caught there by some of the Scourge. Trying to find a spot where it can do some damage, but really there's not any big openings, but it is keeping Banana Brain, rather's army back at home and distracted. The shuttle needs to be careful. It was flying out over open, well, I mean, not open ground as in ground units can be there, but just space where there wasn't anything to protect it. And there are Scourge out. That is a good way to lose your shuttle and your Reaver very quickly. Fastest way to throw minerals away? Probably a shuttle with 2 Reavers in it getting caught by a Scourge. So we do have a little bit of an engagement here. There is a large force, a good storm, but Monster has very good storm dodging abilities here. And really the Reaver is still a good choice because even though Monster's also good at dodging Scarab shots, the Scarab shots can target the Sunkens. Sunkens cannot move, therefore they cannot dodge it. Lurker's doing a lot of work here up at the front and at this mineral only here, keeping, oh, and that goes pop there. But keeping Banana Brain back a bit, but it's always hard to tell how these fights are going because Monster always seems to bring like just enough monsters. It's like always just on the edge of going one way or the other in this battle, or in these battles with Monster. But this is a very, very large Protoss force here. And it's looking like more and more like this mineral only is going to fall, but now we have more reinforcements coming in. A storm on the Lurker. Taking it down low health, but the Observer is not where it needs to be. Now it gets in there. It was staying back because of the Spore Colony there. So once that Spore Colony fell, Banana Brain was able to get in there, clean it up a little bit. And so now, the mineral only gone. I don't know if Monster's really going to have the production. Does have some minerals in the bank, but really it's, I think, being limited by larva. Potentially here, though we do have a bit of idle larva, so did seem to be able to finish repelling that attack, but that might only be because the attack has moved down here to the bottom right. Banana Brain has found a space. It is going to try and take it. There's a lot of burrowed drones here. And these couple of Lurkers are getting quite a number of kills in, but look at the drone production there. That's a lot of larva being spent on drones that aren't going to be spent on military units, and military is really what Monster needs right now. But at the same time, you need drones or you won't have minerals. So that is one of the hard balancing acts of Zerg, both as a human player and as an AI writer. It's just, you know, when do you drone? When do you get that army? Do Scarab shots do friendly splash damage? No. They might against, or if with allied units, but I don't believe they do friendly splash to your units. I could be wrong on that, but I don't ever remember worrying about the splash from the Scarabs on my own units. Now we do have the Sunken Line that is trying to do its best to hold, but with the Reavers able to get those powerful shots off on them, I don't think this base is long for this world. that. All the drones burrowing and unburrowing there, and then Monster going to go ahead and tap out as it's losing this base. We even get the blue Zergling spawn, which I always enjoy when that happens. So very well played game by Banana Brain here. Monster was doing a good job with the Mutalisks, but I feel like just didn't do enough damage there with them. So let's go ahead and hop into our second game today. This game was provided by McRave. And so we have McRave spawning as the red Zerg up at the top of Destination. Going up against Xiao Yi, spawning as the light blue Terran down at the bottom. And I believe McRave said that Xiao Yi 2019 was a fork of Saida? I think. Maybe I read that wrong. So McRave, if you are in the chat, you can correct me on that statement. So Xiao Yi going ahead and scouting kind of early, I would say. Normally you would want to scout at the barracks being built, but Brave Z going ahead, it looks like, and that's going to be a hatchery, I bet. Yep, going ahead with a hatchery here. And now with the drone scout. Xiao Yi just kind of scoping things out. I don't think Xiao Yi actually saw this hatchery go down, just saw the drone go out. So really, you would probably want to check to make sure that that hatchery went down and that you're not dealing with some kind of just spawning pool type build there. Okay, so McRave is saying that it is a fork of Saida. It's the COG version. So here it looks like we've got a drone getting ready to build something here once the creep spreads to that spot. We've got the workers off the gas, so we are getting our lair. Did we get speed? Looks like we did not get Zergling speed. But just enough gas for the lair, and now we're going back on there probably for, I'm guessing, a spire. Nice concave here on the ramp. Couple of Marines coming out, kind of interesting there from Xiao Yi, but gonna just go ahead and run into the sunken colony. So, yep, that is the spire going down now. So we're gonna see some 2-hatch mutaplay, it looks like. Very interesting that Xiao Yi keeps throwing the units away, trying to do the vulture run by. Very nice catch there with the concave of the Zerglings. And really, with their positioning, I don't think Xiao Yi could know that we're there until it was right, until it finally got to that high ground tiles there. So very nice there. Xiao Yi is going ahead and... Interesting that it gets a bunker here, but has not expanded there yet. Looks like it's going... Oh, I thought it was maybe going to do so now. But it's doing a safe in-base build, which really, if you're getting the bunker, the point of that is to build your command center at the natural and not have to lift it, so kind of interesting decisioning there. But now we've got the Mutalisks out, the vultures see that. There is one turret out. And really, you're going to want more than one turret. That turret's more like a lurker protect kind of turret to make sure that if lurkers got dropped in your base, you'd be able to defend it, but yeah, just very late turrets, not nearly enough. I think very nice picking off of the workers here by these Mutalisks. Not even caring about the missile turret here. There's only one. It's only going to be able to do so much damage. Now, there is a Goliath in the fray as well, but getting the worker kills is just hurting so much more, and preventing any new turrets from being put up is very nice to see as well. Going to go ahead and have to back off here a little bit, as the second turret did finish. But really, we're down to 13 workers for Xiao Yi. That is a huge amount of damage, and there's only mobile anti-air here. Overlord kind of getting caught out of position, but the Grave Z should be fine with that. Gonna try and get some workers here, but really needs to get some turrets down there. And now we're returning here to try and get some more workers, and this worker count for Xiao Yi just cannot get above 15 right now. Oh, wait, I'm looking at army. It can't get above 11. Sorry. Just looking at the army count there. I'm like, wait, why are workers dying and that number's not going down? Yeah, meanwhile, behind this, McRave is expanding. We are getting some more tech here as well. We're getting Queen's Nest. So going for that hive off of 3 bases, it looks like. Now, Xiaoyi may be stabilizing a little bit here, but is very, very, very far behind. Only 11 workers, 2 bases, no real army. McRave is pretty much free to do what they want across the map here. Has enough Sunkens and positioned well that they should be able to defend. Maybe the gas is a little exposed if the vultures were to come here. But overall, pretty good placement. Looks like we're starting to get some Scourge too, just in case there's any air going to come from Xiaoyi. Going ahead and chasing the vultures down. This bunker is here, but not going to last long against that large of a Mutalisk cloud. I'm not sure how many are there, but we do have 10 total right now. Oh, now 8. So losing some to those turrets. Doing a little bit more damage there, but really at this point, I don't even know if that damage is necessary, because once McRave hits Hive Tech, which we're in Hive, but I don't think we have any Hive Tech buildings out yet, there's just going to be really nothing that the Terran can do in response. Especially if we see Dark Swarm come out or anything like that. There's no splash for the Terran. No science vessels. Trying to take this turret out. There's a lot of SCVs repairing there. It's a bit of a futile effort there. Oh. Nice little mine-friendly fire there. Doing some exploring, making sure that there aren't any other bases. Burrowing Zerglings at those bases as well. Clearing out the mines. And then in come the Zerglings to clean this up. So very well played here. Unfortunate that the turrets just were too few and too late in this matchup. And so the Mutalisks were just able to destroy the mineral line. And really, I loved that attention to that focus that was done by those Mutalisks on the workers, as opposed to like the one turret that could just be repaired indefinitely. Just take out the workers. That one turret's only going to be able to do so much damage so fast. Now with the natural gone, we're still trying to get a missile turret here before we rebuild the command center, but we don't even have the minerals to rebuild the command center at the moment. So now we've got another flood of Zerglings plus the Ultralisks coming in here. Gonna end up cleaning up this. And we'll go ahead and speed it up to 4x at the moment, just since it's a bit of cleanup here. The Zerg Horde for a moment was like, we'll let this... Oh, wait, no, we gotta destroy those buildings. Okay. Very nice game. Let's go ahead and hop into game 3 here. It's another recommended game from the Discord. We've got Willie T spawning as the red Terran down at the bottom right here of Jade. And over here on the bottom left, we've got Stardust spawning. Just keeping an eye on the production tab while during the early stage. We'll speed it up just a little bit here. Pylon go down, supply depot. Kind of an interesting position for the supply depot. I wonder if that is to affect any sort of like mining paths going down here. Because you might see the supply depot get placed right up against the command center, and that's to make your workers spawn closer to the minerals. But buildings that are like in and or around the mineral line can impact the paths that your workers take. So sometimes on some maps, I'm not familiar with them and like what all the tips and tricks are. But there's definitely some maps where you can place some buildings to sort of optimize the paths that your workers take. Like we are getting 1 gate core build, some type of 1 gate core build from Stardust here. Hey Tyrion, why did nobody tell me this was going on now? If you're subscribed to the channel, you should get an alert when like a scheduled go live is happening soon, or when it goes live. It just builds on its grid. Gotcha. So we do have the factory coming down now. So it's interesting to see. So typically what you'll see when humans are playing, if a bunker is going to go down for Terran against Protoss, you're going to place it at your natural to make it easier to take your natural. So this Dragoon pressure will happen here instead of happening here where it is. So now to take your natural, you've got to push these Dragoons back. Whereas if you get this pressure up here, you can take your natural and you don't have to get the factory and the siege tanks as fast. So that might be something that, you know, maybe could be an improvement with Willie T's build here, is just move this here, and that allows you to take this natural so much sooner, and you can get your economy going a whole lot faster that way. Stardust is going up to 2 bases here. Going up to now 4 gateways, it looks like. Also going ahead and getting its forge for some upgrades. Nice little concave here by Stardust. Just looks like Tonk build order. Yep, because we do have the, so Tonker tanks. We do have the 2 machine shops here. We do have siege mode. We're getting just a large number of tanks here, which melt Dragoons, but Dragoons, if microed properly, can deal with smaller number of tanks. So it'll be interesting to see how the exchange works, but with Jade, it is another one of those interesting maps too, where it's got the reverse main. So the main is on the low ground, the natural is on the high ground. So these tanks can't see and shoot these Dragoons until they either shoot them from high ground, or you get some sort of air unit to give vision up there, or you use a scan to see up there, or you just walk a unit up there and then you can actually see them and fire at them. You tried the fast expo, but Stardust shreds this. I could see that. You really would have to have a good balance of repair on the bunker, and you'd have to have quite a few SCVs at the ready right next to it. And also the goon count is very, very large now, so it would be, against Stardust, definitely a tricky balancing act, to say the least, to get that going. OA2 has fast expo build orders since like 2 year. Hardly ever success for Stardust. Fair enough. Yeah, Stardust is no joke of an opponent, for sure. And as the chat is saying, Tonk. As the tank count grows, we do have 11 tanks going right now. And Stardust behind this contain is has taken a 3rd base, is taking a 4th base now. So really, it's going to come down to how well can Willie T push out from this low ground position. It's just producing off of 2 factories right now, banking a huge amount of minerals because one refinery can only support so much tank production. Now, we do have a tank that has wandered off into the high ground here now, so we do have vision up here. Now it's being joined by a 2nd tank, kind of just pushing out. And unfortunately for Stardust here, it's got a number of Dragoons that are going to get cut off from the main force. Should be able to replace them relatively quickly. Oh, and here we have a dive coming in here. Wisely backing off. With the 1 tank that's still alive up there, all of these tanks in the back are able to fire into this Dragoon field here. And Stardust is probably going to have a hard time if it stays as Gateway Man, as Artosis likes to call it. And just with the Gateway units, getting the spammy dance that we always love to point out when it happens with an AI. Getting some shots off here, and really just Stardust. Now, this is one thing that can happen. I don't know if this is what's actually happening here, but sometimes with AIs, if they spam enough commands on a frame, the units just can't do anything. Like, it's almost like the commands either drop or something else is happening in the game engine. There was an attempt at an expansion there, immediately stopped by Stardust. It seemed like almost like a trigger for Stardust to sort of dive in. Now these tanks are all going to try and move up here, so trying to push this front up. Tank on the ramp kind of getting in the way here a little bit. This command center might have to get canceled again, but maybe not. If there were a few more zealots that were running in, then possibly. This is a very, very goon-heavy army against these tanks. Would love to see more zealots getting into the mix here for Stardust, who has taken out a 5th base up here. Just like to point that out real quick. Starting to mine from the natural a little bit before it's finished. Feeling very secure with all of these tanks here. Another thing that I think is hurting Stardust in this situation is the indecisiveness. You know, like losing one or two, like a few goons with a poke in, and then especially when they start just jittering in range of all of those tanks, you know, just taking those shots. Not going well for Stardust in that regard. 90k APM, oh god, it's bugging from the chat, yeah. That's what I was talking about. When it starts to get up to APMs like that, like 90,000, like, and even close to 90,000, that's when you start to see commands not working properly. So that is something to consider when you are writing your AI, if you're working on one too, is that, you know, you may need to limit your command inputs to some degree, because you can have situations like that happen to the detriment of your AI competing. Is it possible for a bot to reach 1000 APM spam? Would it crash the replay or something? I think there's a hard limit on the number of commands that that StarCraft will process on a frame. I don't think I've ever seen an AI hit 100,000, so I think it's somewhere in the 90,000 range. That's a topic that's been discussed in the Discord, but I don't remember the full technical details that were discussed. Yeah, so not really hitting that number makes your units ignore commands. Yeah, so at a certain point, the StarCraft engine just stops processing the commands that you're sending. Why limit API calls? That's your opponent's task. First thing is to spam attack commands, then the unit won't ever attack. Yeah, especially with Dragoons. Dragoons are, you have to be careful with that. Yep, and now we do have a dive going on here really quick. But this tank line, nice destruction of the bunker there just to get that out of the way. But I like how the tank's unsieged and then just didn't move. Like, you could, the rest of this army would like to get up there. Meanwhile, Stardust is just taking over the map too. We've got a base up here. Base up at the top right up here. And just, it's got a really good contain. It's taking over the map, but it just can't bust these tanks. And tank sieging back up here as the Dragoons try to dive in again, but gonna have to be back repelled by the tank fire. But yeah, so Dragoons, you can actually interrupt their attack if you spam commands to a Dragoon too much. It will like start to attack, but then before the plasma ball gets fired, it'll close up. So that is something you got to be careful of. Enough command spam and the replay itself might just desync, I believe. It could be possible. OpenBW fixes a lot of those desyncs that would happen like in normal StarCraft. But we do still see desyncs through OpenBW for a number of reasons. Let's see, blocking its ramp, most tanks low ground, yep. That is a bit of a problem here, but I can see why, because you've got your turret and barracks here. So really like this space here is sort of the shielded, and now we did lift the barracks, so we might see these tanks start to move forward. But really like this was the shielded space where the Dragoons, and now we see the Dragoons trying to dive in. And that's why I didn't want to place tanks over here, where it was a little bit easier for those Dragoons to dive into. But now Willie T wants to move out here. It's on pretty decent supply here. Yeah, it's interesting too how there's not even anything like to protect the tanks. And really, Stardust is just going pure Dragoon at this point, which is not what you want to do. Let's just check the upgrades real quick. I mean, it has Zealot speed, but it's not producing Zealots anymore. It is at 3-3 with 2 shields. And Willie T is just at 1-1. But just the amount of tanks, and just you can see, this kind of reminds me of a book, Ender's Game. I forget which book it is, but there's one part where basically, like, they're just moving through enemy territory, and the enemy is just respectfully giving its distance to the I guess the good guys or the humans, and allowing them to just move toward their main area or their main whatever, however you want to call it. I like don't want to really give spoilers away, but and just in case you're interested in reading that book at some point. But that was just reminding me of that, the way that they were just giving the tank space. But now Willie T is being forced to pull back a little bit here. Did push the army back enough to go ahead and start trying to take this third. This third is going to be a lot more vulnerable, though, than the natural. So we'll see if it can hold on. If those Dragoons dived in, I feel like those Dragoons could have taken these tanks here, but just sort of doing this dance back and forth, allowing a lot of free shots, now diving in, taking off a few of those tanks, trying to take out these bottom ones that were giving some auxiliary support here to this third. It feels like Stardust could just go and kill this third, but is choosing not to, and again is sort of doing this contained dance and leading a lot of Dragoons here. Maybe it's just you not looking into it, but you've never got desyncs. Surely the replay should just be a record of what units did at what times. So the replay files are like, it saves the list of like IDs, of unit IDs and the commands that they issued and in what times and stuff like that, and it works through those commands. But a lot of it also saves the seed for the game, I believe. So that way, like, shots that should miss will miss again when the RNG is called and things like that. But desyncs tend to happen when something resolves differently, or I think there is some desyncs that you can force to happen with command buffers. If too many commands get issued on a frame in like 1.16 replay viewer, there was a set sized buffer for those commands, and if there were more commands than that, it'll desync, because some of those commands won't happen in the replay that happened in the real game. And so that's where the rep fixer plugin comes in from Chaos Launcher. So that actually changes that set size buffer to be a dynamically allocated buffer, so that way it can handle those. And you could actually abuse that and make a replay not viewable if you pause the game. There was, I think you send enough chat messages, because chat messages are viewed as commands as well, and enter that buffer. You could overflow it, because it would be a single frame, that paused frame, and that was one way that you could cause a replay to force a desync. But another thing that I've noticed where desyncs can happen in Remaster is sometimes when units stack on top of each other, that resolution can happen differently in Remaster versus OpenBW versus 1.16. And so that can cause some desyncs too. Like there was one I casted where in Remaster, a couple of units popped over a wall that didn't in the live game and didn't in the replay like in OpenBW, and so that caused the desync. Willie T seems like failing to add factories here. Yeah, so once we've got this factory here, like Willie T does have a lot of gas banked up here. Could have jumped up to 3 to 4 factories. Now that it's got this third one, I mean, if you're doing pure tank production, 3 to 4, I think, and then you could have jumped up to like 6 to 7 factories here. But I wonder, the main is mined out. So I wonder if that's stopping Willie T from adding more buildings. I think we're going to go ahead and speed this up to 4x for right now until we get the next dive or the next thing happens here, because Stardust has taken over the map. Actually, really quick, let's just drop that down to 2. So there's minerals still here. This is mined out, mined out, mined out, mined out, mined out. So there's 1, 2, 3, there's 4 mining bases for Stardust, 1 mining base for Willie T. I'm wondering, a huge bank, although Stardust is going through like all of their gas somehow, probably by throwing the Dragoons away and then spending the gas on the Dragoons. But like, how is this going to end? I wonder if this is just going to be like a wall clock timeout or what. What about the AIs in Brood War doing completely new things in the replays? Does this mean replay simulating the AIs completely too? So you cannot watch a replay with stock AI in OpenBW because the actions of the stock AI are not recorded. They're not actually done, I think, through necessarily the command coding that might be slightly wrong on that, but they're not recorded in the replay. So when you launch a replay that has stock AI in it, it actually runs the code for the AI again. And it should be deterministic, where if the exact same seed is applied and the exact same actions are done by all opponents, then the AI should play out the exact same. And so you could start to see the AI behave completely different if the replay desyncs, and then the humans, or the human players, or if it's an AI versus custom AI versus stock AI, then you could start to see the stock AI diverge from what it actually did when a replay desyncs, because now it's starting to deal with a new situation that wasn't part of the original game. And so now here we do have the tank ball moving out here at 170 supply. It looks like Willie T is going on the offensive here, and really what's crazy about all of this, because Stardust has been constantly throwing units away into this tank ball, it's actually going to struggle to fight this. Even though it's had the entire map except for 3 bases, it's mined out all of them except for 2. It just, for a while there, did not have the gas to quickly replace. It's starting to get a bank of gas now, but it's burned through so many minerals, so much of the gas that was on the map, that it just can't compete with this tank ball. And taking another look at the upgrades here really quick, we're at 2-1. Actually, wait, no, sorry, 2... Yeah, we're at 2-1, we're getting 2-2. Gonna grab a drink really quick while Willie T is pushing into the natural here. Yeah, another thing Stardust could do, perhaps, at these other mains, it really should get more gateways. Ignoring pretty much the rest of this game's situation that has happened, if Terran pushes toward your main, you want gateways outside of it. So that way, if you can't break this right away, all of your unit production is not trapped in the base that is probably going to be doomed. So that way you can quickly reproduce outside of it. And then while the Terran's busy cleaning this up, you're busy macroing back up. You're letting this die because you've got your gateways elsewhere. And then you can just, when the Terran starts to move away from that, then you can just go in and smash. Or you can backstab, which is something that you'll see in some TVPs. Terran will start to move, and Protoss is like, I can't kill that ball. I'm just going to go kill your bases. You can sort of have a base race happen. And there's the unit collision I was talking about that can sometimes cause a replay to desync if you try to watch it in, remastered versus if it was played in 1.16. Sometimes this will resolve differently between the 2 versions. So, very nice, very tank-heavy push here. I feel like if Stardust, were to get some higher tech units, it could probably deal with this type of push a lot easier. Yeah, if you're just gonna stay on gateways, this type of push is not going to be something that you can easily break. Go ahead and speed this up to 4 times. Nice, appropriate, sad Protoss music to play during this. We'll actually go up to 8, because at this point now, it is just going to be cleanup. And we can see, too, that while Stardust loses this base, Stardust does not replace any of the gateways anywhere else. And that could also be, again, a result of... I don't think we added... We did go up to 3 factories here for Willie T. But it could be a result of these bases being mined out. And so it just doesn't have logic on where to build necessarily. Willie T quickly expanding to the mineralless bases, which is kind of funny to see here. And it looks like Stardust is BMing with a bunch of pylons everywhere. We still have one down here, not found by Willie T. Kind of curious how long it'll take to find that. That pylon spam was pretty funny, though. But yeah, if you notice, too, that pylon spam happened down here in its old main, so it looks like it really doesn't have logic to handle if its main gets wiped out. And here, okay, we did find the lone pylon. And with a drop, we're clearing out this top right. With that, Willie T gets a well-deserved and hard-fought win. Go ahead and jump into our next game here. Oops, which we're still at 8 times speed. So for this game, we have Toothpick Cactus spawning as the red Terran up at the top right. And then we have purple is always really hard color for me to find on the mini-map with OpenBW. But we have Nightcat T spawning as the purple Terran down at the bottom right. And we are on Circuit Breakers. So yeah, we don't really see, or at least I don't see a whole lot of replays where that happens, where an entire map gets mined out. So that's kind of cool to see. Okay, and then there we go with the barracks going down. What is Toothpick Cactus doing here? Uh-oh. We don't have a barracks yet. And okay, there we go. We've got gas in barracks now. Okay. So I thought maybe some sort of cheese was going down there. We do have the scout finding base here, harassing the supply depot. Barracks about to finish. We'll probably see a factory quickly from Toothpick. And Marine chasing off the worker, the scout SCV there. Chasing him all the way back to his home, apparently. Making sure that he does go home. Marine on Marine! Cat T's Marine wins and decides to return home. So we do have the factory now started for Toothpick Cactus. Got the academy finishing up for Nightcat T. So Stardust trying to rebuild in its main, Willie T not recognizing these bases are mined out. I mean, you can still get gas from the geysers, so, you know, I guess there is some benefit there? Maybe? Fastest Marine on the map. And he's still chilling there injured, but here comes the medics to give him a little healing maybe. Or not. They can just run around too. Yeah. That medic has... That Marine has refused medical treatment there, it looks like. So Toothpick going ahead and taking its natural, getting some vultures, it looks like. Nightcat T getting the Marine range. So Nightcat T doesn't really do a traditional like one-on-one build order. It sort of just has a build order that works on getting like a Marine medic tank army against Terran and Zerg opponents, and then against Protoss opponents it has like a attempt at a normal build. I think it's the Ayumi build or close to it, where it will try to rush with tanks and vultures and a few Marines. So now we do have Toothpick coming in for a push here. Quickly falling back to the high ground tanks. I'm kind of surprised that Nightcat T has not tried to expand just yet, but... Also trying to watch what... So Toothpick is getting... the Academy for scans, and it just got its armory, getting a science vessel as well. Okay, here we go. Here's the expand by Nightcat T happening. Also, Toothpick going up onto 3 bases here, so 1 base ahead. Oh, we do have a Wraith out, but the paper plane did not last very long there. Now, tanks are out, and does Toothpick also has siege range. We've got some mines being laid down here. So, sort of like a conga line contain happening as opposed to like a arch or concave contain there. Refuses to hold still. Wraith, I'm going in. Yeah, it's like the one cutscene from the campaign where the Wraith just charges into the orbital defense platform. Oh, some very nice mines going off there, but not enough to keep the army fully back here. Push a little bit smaller, but still a good tank count here, and there's not a lot. The medic's kind of running away from the Marine army here. But yeah, it looks like Toothpick's army was just a little bit on the smaller side. I mean, it is floating a lot of minerals right now. So I feel like if it had it could have had a larger army by this point that could have probably repelled this. But it definitely seems like it's not over yet. Toothpick does have the top, middle, and is taking this base here. So just the natural has been lost, and it could be possible if Nightcat focuses on the main here. If it's not able to get in, that's mine taking out like one of the Marines there. Could be in some trouble. Nightcat behind this is going ahead and taking a third as well. It's up onto 4 barracks here and 2 factories. There is a couple of high ground tanks here posing a bit of a problem as well. Okay, so it has changed direction here and is going after this mineral only. So not trying to press into the main. I don't see any medic production. Nightcat, so just throwing some Marines into the mix here. that Marine went zooming after it used a stim pack there. Okay, looks like it's now returning to focusing on the main. It is also going ahead and taking a 4th now down here at the bottom middle. But I don't think it's going to quite be able to break this main. Units are kind of like scattered here coming in to reinforce the attack. But with the tanks on the high ground, this one's pretty low on health. I think this attack may have been repelled. But we'll see if Toothpick can stabilize. It is also going ahead and expanding over here at the top left, so both AIs just kind of expanding as if nothing is happening in terms of the fighting. Now we do have an okay tank count here again, but there's 4 tanks on the high ground. The Bio Army just not able to get close, and oh, the tank's getting picked off now. Now this is a problem of the Nightcat bot as well. And being the author, I'm a bit more familiar with how it's coded. So it has logic in it to reinforce active attacks when the defensive forces get large enough. And so it can kind of get stuck in this position where the attack is really weak and it just keeps reinforcing it because it's like the attack can't die fast enough. And so instead of like waiting back and getting its force large again, it just keeps feeding units into the attack. But at this point now, actually, the tank count is kind of climbing. But the Wraiths could give a sight advantage here. We'll see if Nightcat can crack into this natural positioning here again. Toothpick is going ahead and expanding over here on the left side of the map again. It looks like... Okay, so Nightcat's deciding this is the rally position for defensive forces, but it is going ahead and expanding again, it looks like here. Oh, and we did get 2 more barracks down here. And we are starting to get some medics, but really against these tanks... Yeah, those Marines are not going to be able to do much, even with medic support. But the Marines are doing a job of keeping the paper airplanes back from the tanks. Looks like Toothpick is going to... Oh, just laying mines down. Okay. Oh, the SCV building that got caught. That might cause some problems. I don't know if that SCV will be replaced or not. Toothpick able to kind of reclaim this ground here. Gonna go ahead and clear out the mine that was blocking it. It's going to go ahead and retake its natural. Very, very cool. It looks like attention is switching back over to this expansion now. Toothpick getting a nice defensive hold here on the bridges. But this base here is kind of left open. So, okay, this base did get finished. We're getting another barracks, it looks like. So, I think we're only on 2 factories and a lot of barracks. Stop with his ongoing attack. So if the attack gets wiped out before it has enough forces on the defensive... Oh, we took this base sometime. I didn't even notice that. Then it should stop the attack. But the problem is when it gets enough production structures and stuff, I think, it kind of just can always keep getting enough forces to want to reinforce. It's kind of hard to tell because even if an attack wave is small, you may still want to reinforcement. It doesn't necessarily have like the situational awareness to recognize, I really should stop sending these units into fight. The other thing is too that Marines are just not going to do well against a large tank force. Although maybe if it mixed in ghosts, that would be something kind of cool, but... one thing I do want to check is like upgrades. Let's see. So pretty decent upgrades by both players at the moment here. Oh, there's even some Marines getting mixed in by Toothpick too, which I like. Some irradiates going down on the SCVs here. At this point, it might actually be even just Nightcat trying to defend this area and not even just an attack. Now there's a lot on the map right now for Toothpick. Toothpick is up on supply. Even with all of the production facilities, there are tons of barracks here for Nightcats. He's just not able to spend the money that it's gathering. Marines not even getting to fire off a single shot before the tank volleys take them out. This base is now cut off, it looks like, and going to fall. The tank army from Toothpick slowly marching in here. Nice round of medics coming up, yeah. The radiated medic. Nice, nice. That will shore up the defenses for sure, yeah. Well, it did eat and radiate from the science vessel, so there's that at least, right? Yeah, now this base is mined out. So he's going to go ahead and move over to the next base. Then yeah, this is just going to be the cleanup at this point, so we'll go ahead and 4X it, but probably could have used some more factories in the production, so I don't know if the build order caps factories at 2. It's been a really long time since I've worked on the AI to remember for sure. Or it just might not have had any spaces that I felt it could fit factories at the expansions. Yeah, very entertaining game. Nightcat almost taking it. I just couldn't crack into the main. And then the high ground versus the low ground. So, like, if it were Jade, for example, Nightcat might have been able to win it. But the high ground advantage for the defenders there, with the normal main being on high ground setup that is this map, just was not able to get in there. And, one Marine and one Wraith here. The army stuck behind a tank. I'm like, what? It's the guy. Okay, there we go. And with that, Toothpick will take the win. So that's all the games that I had recommended to me for this week. So I grabbed a couple games off of the Snail ladder. I think we have time for at least one of them. So we'll go ahead and switch gears a little bit here and get a human and AI game. Before I pull that over, let's down that to 2x. Here we go. So this was a ranked game. The player is playing with the pseudonym Snail, going up against our anonymous AI, which is Monster. This is fresh off the presses from today. So I don't know how this game plays out. If the human will play a straight up honest game, or if they will cheese, or what. Hopefully we get a good one here. So here we've got the supply depot being placed down. This is most likely to make this mineral patch. As we can see, this SCV here is taking a straight shot between mineral patch and supply depot. The barracks being started, so I'm wondering if we're going to see a 1-Rax fast expand into something here. Nice. Oop, almost nice blocking of the ramp. Didn't quite get it. Turn's going to go ahead and sneak in there. Looks like we had pool first with a the hatchery at the natural. Just about 4 Zerglings here. Gonna be able to get in and see what's going on. Sees the 3 eggs, but sees drone pop out and then some Zerglings, so don't think they're too concerned getting a nice little choke point here. Putting the SCVs in front of the Marine here. Set the and trying to get a little bit of a repair there. Might run into some trouble here. Able to repel though. Lost a couple of SCVs, but that's alright. You kind of expect that when you put them up as the wall. Now trying to move down here. We are actually getting more barracks though. So we've got 2 barracks. Now we're getting a 3rd. So it looks like we're doing some sort of 1 base, probably heavy aggressive play here. Well, yeah, human, says the chat. Yes, and so you can play these AIs. The link is in the description below. Really easy using the Snail ladder. Just make sure that you follow the instructions that are on snail.com for the setup, as there are a few prerequisites, related to Java and such. Also, on the Snail Discord, there's a lot of friendly people that are happy to try and help out if you do have issues running it. And so, catching the Hydralisks off guard here. Looks like we were going for some sort of lurker play for Monster. Getting there before any sunken can be morphed. These Hydralisks really need to get back home and try to help, but there might be too many Marines here off of the 4 barracks production that we've got going on. Should be able to clean this up, but I think it lost a few drones here, so that's really going to hurt it a bit. And now the Hydralisks gonna miss the army again here. The human player going ahead and clearing out these, or at least that center one, to try and make their units get there a little bit faster. Instead of going around, it can go straight through. So now the Hydralisk's in position to cut off any reinforcements, but there's nothing at home to defend. And with that, I think the human is going to win this game. Four barracks, no medic. You don't need gas. Is the Terran even gathering? Okay, the Terran did gather some gas. Is getting an engineering bay now. Yeah, I want to see, did we get... Okay, we're getting a lurker aspect. So yeah, this is definitely like a 2-hatch lurker build that just didn't get it off the ground with the early aggression there from just the Marines, and really some luck as well with catching the Hydralisks out over here when the Terran army was moving up here. So nice play by the human. I do have one more game from the same player. Go ahead and load that up. So this one is up against Stardust. So we've got the human player spawning as the blue Protoss up at the top left, again playing under the moniker Snail. And I almost just said snail instead of snail, which is why I emphasized the sh there. And then we have the anonymous AI, which is Stardust, up at the top right as the teal, the rescuable passive color in the campaign, Protoss. So we'll see what the human player does here. It looks like they went with Protoss this time, as opposed to Terran, which they were in the last game. So I don't know if they're playing... They may be playing as random. That's something I'm not sure about. I think those details I can see in the ladder, but I didn't really take a look at it. A2, A3 racer. 1A2, A3 is the Protoss race, I thought. So looks like we're getting similar builds here. Although the core is started already for human player. Looks like we're going to get some type of cheese here as it's going ahead and placing a bunch of probes to block the scout, which is now here and sees that it can't get up there. So we'll see how Stardust responds to that. Its core is now started. Getting the Citadel of Adun. Couldn't think of the name for a minute there. Actually, where is it getting the Citadel of Adun? Oh, over here. So we blocked the main to keep the AI from knowing what was happening in the main, and then we are hiding our tech over here off to the right. Templar Archives is started. There is no detection here for the AI, so it looks like this very fast Arc Templar build might get it. There is a forge started now, though, so cannons might possibly get down in time. It's going to be tough. There is one production facility over here that can pump the Dark Templars, one as well as one back home. The army for Stardust is going to be a little bit larger for the moment, but once the Dark Templar come out, there is a forge now started. There is one cannon that's being placed up at the front, and one back good at the mineral line, so the Dark Templar is probably not going to be able to bust through. Goes ahead and gets caught before it can even retreat. So now the human's going to have to transition into something else, because the Dark Templar are not going to be able to win it, but it does keep Stardust back home until it can get Observer Tech, which it is working on now as it gets its robotics facility. So curious to see what the human player is going to transition to here. I don't see any tech coming out just yet. We are getting the worker count up here. You have the observatory, and really I'm a bit worried here because Stardust is going to have a much larger army once that observer pops, and I don't know what the human player is going to really do to hold it back. Where are these? Oh, we're trying to start a sneaky expansion down here because we know we can't straight up hold this natural. Okay. So we are out now. The Dark Templar that was in the natural has been taken care of. Stardust going to try and push into this. Might have the muscle to do it, but it's going to be tough because of that high ground advantage. Yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of misses. That Dragoon lived a lot longer than it would if they were on equal ground, but pulling back to the shield battery here, losing that high ground advantage a bit, but just able to pull it back. Oh, because of that gateway over here on the right, we were able to kind of counterattack and force Stardust to pull back a little bit, but Stardust's Dragoon count is still a lot higher. We've got 10 to 3. So I don't think they're going to be able to hold it. Yep, and then so the army's going to fall, and then the Dragoons are going to be able to march in here, target down the cannons. The gateway count climb just a little bit too slow here for the human player. Just as not necessarily as a result of the player's play, but just their decision to try that Dark Templar build. And also, this did eventually get found by Stardust and was getting cleaned up. So, very nice game. A good attempt at the Dark Templar attack there, but just not quite able to get it in time. Stardust sort of, I guess, recognizing what happened, unless it just always gets a cannon there, but that seems more like a reaction to, I think something's up. And then also getting one here in case there were enough Dark Templar to get a run by. So very well played game. A lot of exciting games this week. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun. I think I'm going to try and continue this live casting because I think it's a lot of fun to be able to interact with the chat while we are going. Again, there are links down in the description below to the Schnail.com website where you can download the client to play these custom AIs. You can play practice where you choose the AI you're playing against, or you can play ranked where it will choose an opponent and anonymize them so you don't know which AI you're playing up against right at the start. There's also links for the SSCAIT Discord, so you can join that, talk with people that are working on AIs, or just to learn more about artificial intelligence in general. Things like that. There's also the SSCAIT Twitch channel that you can go to watch games live. It's not always active, but when it is streaming, it'll be streaming games from the SSCAIT ladder live. Live streaming live. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Hope you all have a great week. For those of you in the United States, hope you have a great Independence Day. Until next time, take care.